SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast discusses topics which are relevant to the everyday lives of seniors and their caregivers. We are joined by experts who share their knowledge on a variety of issues. SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast offers solutions and resources to create the best quality of life as we age. And now, let's welcome your host, Darlene Mahoney.
Does the idea of searching for senior housing solutions seem overwhelming? SeniorLivingGuide.com is your one-stop shop for all things senior housing, memory care, home health, home care, and other senior resources. Visit us today at SeniorLivingGuide.com to connect directly and get the information that you need to make the very best decision for you or your loved ones. And I would like to express our gratitude to our podcast sponsor, Transmed Care Long Distance Medical Transportation. When a loved one with a disability or medical condition needs to relocate, Transmed Care is here to help with safe and secure nationwide medical transport services with an emphasis on comfort and care.
Transmed Care Long Distance Medical Transportation is a business built on care. Another satisfied customer writes,
"My family and I were extremely pleased with the professionalism, warmth, friendliness, and competence of the Transmed Care team. They were on time, patient, obliging, and kept in touch regularly during the ride from New Jersey to Florida. And they were very kind to my husband. I highly recommend this company."
To learn more about Transmed Care, visit the website at trans-medcare.com.
And today we are joined by Michelle Connor. She is a worldwide travel advisor and licensed travel specialist with Travel Advisors Unlimited. And she handles both domestic and international travel services, specializing in cruises, tours, and so much more. She really enjoys curating unforgettable journeys worldwide. And so really excited to have you on the podcast today, Michelle, because we are going to talk about something really fun today. And it is travel as a senior, why travel, how to travel safe, and some tips and some tricks. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I am a traveler myself. I love travel, and I love being able to have the opportunity to make travel more accessible for everyone else too. So travel opens the door to so many experiences, and it's great for anybody at any age.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my, if I could have a hobby, travel would be my hobby. I mean, if it could be considered a hobby, that's what I would love to do with all my free time.
Absolutely. That's why I love my job. But yes, travel is good for everybody because we're never too old to learn and try new things. Exploring new environments, meeting people, these are the things that enrich our lives. And especially for our senior segment, often these are people who are transitioning from a busy life of having cared for their children, had careers, and now they're wondering, who am I now? What do I do now? Getting out in the world and having new opportunities opened in front of you can just add whole new dimensions to the next chapter of their lives.
Yeah. So with seniors, sometimes they haven't done that traveling. So now they have that opportunity and that availability in their time and, you know, the financial resources as well. So what would you give as far as advice to a traveler that is not experienced, but ready to take the big plunge and take some trips?
Well, there's a lot of advice I can share. Really, it's planning. Plan and plan, because you never want to be away from home and caught unprepared for the things that can happen, the things that will happen. The more you plan before you go, you have so much less stress and the opportunity to enjoy your trips more. You can really take advantage of a travel advisor to help you with that planning as well, because knowing about everywhere, knowing what you need to get there, how to get there, it's a lot. And so it's definitely a great idea to get someone with some experience in that area to help you. That can definitely make your life a lot easier as well.
So does a travel advisor plan your trip from A to Z, where you, from the time you leave your home to get on whatever plane, train, automobile to the destinations, and then also the hotels, any kinds of concierge services, or even excursions, that type of thing? Do they go in and just kind of plan it all out and just make it easy sneezy for you? Is that kind of what a travel advisor does?
Absolutely. They can do every detail for you, or they can give you an outline of a trip, and you have flexibility within there as well. That's the great thing when you meet with a travel professional, is they're going to talk to you to find out exactly what your needs and wants are, so that they can meet those needs to give you the level of service that you want and the level of flexibility and customization that you want as well.
Right. And I'm sure Priceline, and I don't mean Priceline like with what's his name? Shatner?
Yes.
So I'm not referring to Priceline in that sense, but more along price lines where it's affordability, because travel can be incredibly expensive, but there's a lot of affordable travel that's out there too, correct?
Absolutely. There is a price point for everyone. There's really no reason not to get out there and travel. And a lot of people are surprised when they stop and factor in, what are your daily costs for living that you're going to be spending at home? A lot of times it really doesn't take that much more to have your daily living costs when you're traveling as well.
Especially if you're going out to eat and things like that already at home. And I know a lot of our seniors, once they retire and things like that, I mean, if you're not a fan of the cooking, then you may do more like smaller early bird meals and things like that out anyway. So this would just be having it out somewhere different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some best practices before traveling? Because, as seniors and as seniors are aging and things like that, they may have a different level of preparing versus like a 20-year-old who throws on a backpack and goes through Europe.
Absolutely. There are a lot of things to keep in mind. Some of the most important tips I can share, one would be a pre-travel wellness visit, especially for our seniors. Assess your health concerns before you leave home. There's travel available for almost any level of mobility limitations, physical issues, but you don't want to discover a new limitation when you're away from home. This pre-travel wellness visit is a great time to talk to your doctor about how any medical equipment that you already have, implants, prosthetics, might affect your travel, especially in things like setting off alarms when you're going through security checkpoints. It's great to get documentation from your physician to explain what those items are, how they may work and affect your travel. And another important thing is make sure if you have specific adventure plans, because adventure is fun at every age, know if you're going to need a waiver. I personally am a diabetic and I love to scuba dive. And my diabetes is in great control, so I can do that. But I absolutely need my doctor's permission when I check in with the dive shop at my destination. It would be really sad to see that beautiful blue water and not be able to dive just because I forgot to get that checked from my doctor.
That is absolutely something I've never thought about, having specific issues if you're going to do some of those bigger adventures that they're going to want to see. I mean, it's like when you go to Disney and you have to be this amount height to ride on a ride. This is a whole different kind of level of requirement to enjoy some of those more adventurous excursions especially as you age and you do start seeing, an ailment here or an ailment there versus when we were younger and didn't unfortunately have to face all of those problems. So that's such a great idea. And then also, one of the things that I struggle with when I travel, and these are some considerations that I think can be somewhat important, is sleep. I have a hard time sometimes getting comfortable. So really looking at places that can accommodate your needs for sleep. Do you think that that's something that we don't really talk about?
Well, definitely you want to make sure that there are accommodations that are going to work for you. Definitely for people who travel in places like Europe, they'll find a lot of times the air, even if there is air conditioning, it's not as cold as we're accustomed to in the United States. So even things like packing a portable fan with you, making sure you have electrical adapters to power those fans, or certainly if you have medical equipment like a sleep apnea machine for CPAP, things like that, you want to be prepared for them to work properly where you're traveling. And you also want to make sure that you have updated prescriptions with plenty of refills available before you ever leave home. Make sure you travel with that medicine in original labeled bottles. And another great travel hack that I did not know about for years is that you can have many pharmacies prepare customized blister packs for your medications. If you have several different drugs that you need to keep organized on a daily basis, that will still help you comply with those regulations, traveling through different border checkpoints to show that the medicine is indeed yours and it is legitimate.
I absolutely never thought about that. That is an excellent tip, because I will tell you, when I travel now, I only travel domestically at this point, as of late, but I put them in like a little pill thing. So it's not, unfortunately, because it is in the little pill holder, I take it out of the labels because I do it on the daily, but that's not something that I thought about. So that actually is a good tip. And I'm assuming that's probably more for international travel.
Yes, absolutely. They do. Some people have gotten away without it, but the requirements actually do show that going through border checkpoints, you should have documentation, such as the original labeled bottle showing that that is your medication and that you are allowed to have it.
Yeah, that is an excellent tip. And question, talking about foreign travel, if you run out of your prescription, or you lose it or something like that happens, how does a pharmacy in another country work? Do you know? Is that something that foreign pharmacies, it may not probably be your best bet. So you really want to make sure.
You really do want to make sure you take adequate medication with you, but always take a copy of your prescriptions with you. And you can try to work with the local pharmacies in that area to get enough medicine to get you back home.
Yeah.
But definitely take copies of your prescriptions with you separate from the medication bottles. So that's something that I will say, as far as another very important best practice before travel, is preparing your travel documents. And so copies of those prescriptions is an important thing to have. If you're traveling internationally, absolutely make sure you have a passport that is valid for at least 6 months after your travel date. A lot of countries won't allow admission into their nation without having that extra time built into your passport validity. You want to have your driver's license. You want to have your health care and insurance cards with you, your travel tickets and itineraries, and again, all those medical statements, records, prescription copies that you just got from that wellness visit from your physician. And keep in mind that some locations internationally may require extra visas or immunizations. So you'll want to have all of that documented before you ever leave home. And then a super tip is make sure you have at least 2 copies of all of those things. You're going to want to keep your originals with you at all times. Leave 1 copy at home with a trusted family or friend so that in the event of loss or theft of your original documents, it will make things a lot easier to replace. And then for your own convenience, keep a second copy in your carry-on luggage at all times as well. Again, just in case you lose your bag or something with the originals.
Right. I'm so funny because anything that I'm taking on a plane is the stuff I know that if I get off the plane and they've lost my luggage, I can live. So
absolutely.
That's my goal. So, you always pack an extra pair of underwear. And for me, it's, definitely don't want that makeup left in the back because nobody wants to see that in the morning. So, so definitely I have my priorities on my luggage or my bags that I take on the plane that stay with me.
Definitely.
I like what you're saying about the travel documents. I feel like you can make copies of a lot of things and actually just put them in a folder or like a binder so that you're literally just taking that with you. So it's all in one place. So you're not digging for stuff. Cause I know that, especially us as women, we're digging through our purse for this, that, and the other, but to keep it all in one place, even with copies, so that it's all there, I think is such a great idea.
Absolutely. I'm very old school in that myself. I love my cell phone. I love the convenience of having so many things, including our tickets and boarding passes, and even photographs of those important identification things right there in my phone and my pocket all the time. But what if my phone is stolen? What if it loses battery charge? What if it's just broken or in the wrong location at the wrong time? I love to have that paper backup right there with me. And like you said, having everything put together in one folder, it keeps it so much more streamlined. You're not struggling as you're trying to enter a place, trying to get through a security checkpoint. You can pull out that one folder. Everything you need is right there and accessible. And again, it's all about making your actual travel less stressful by doing the planning before you go.
Yeah, I love that. So going back to planning, you mentioned cell phones. So
Absolutely.
setting up your cell phone, especially if you're doing international, clearly. I mean, your phone domestically is typically not a big issue. But how do you set up your phone for international travel and safety?
Well, sure. Well, to start with, talk to your provider and find out what your coverage actually does include. Some providers will include coverage in Canada and Mexico as part of their regular plans. That's something you want to note. A lot of others, you can do a monthly change to your plan or even a daily charge. Sometimes, for example, if you're on a cruise, make sure that your phone is turned to airplane mode only while you're on board so that you don't get crazy cruise line charges. But then when you pull into a port, you might want to be able to check your email or send pictures back to family at home, and you can do an international plan for a day. It's a minimal charge. So those are things to find out from your specific provider before you leave home. Another very important thing with your cell phone, though, is make sure you program in all of those emergency numbers and contacts that you're going to need. When you lose your credit card is not when you want to try to scramble to find the phone number to contact your credit card company. Or another thing that a lot of families don't think about is, as the women, oftentimes we have the contact information for everybody, and our travel partner might not be that person. Well, what if your phone's the one that breaks and you have to use his phone, but now the important person you need to reach, that phone number's not in that phone? Again, you're not in a good place. So make sure every person in your travel party has the emergency numbers programmed in their phones.
And nobody remembers phone numbers anymore. I mean, I remember back in the day, I can actually remember my phone number from when I was a kid, but I can't remember my kids' phone numbers now.
I am the same way.
Yeah.
Absolutely relate with that.
Yeah. It's crazy how much we rely on technology to get us through and survive. So those are all perfect plans. So really to go to your provider and have the conversation on what you're doing so that you can set yourself up for success on the cell phone side.
Sure. Because you don't want to get home after the trip and find some crazy unexpected charges for things you thought you weren't paying for.
Right. I never knew, I have not cruised in a very long time, but I never knew that putting your phone on airplane mode on a cruise, I never had thought about that. So that's a very good tip. So
yes, there can be crazy charges you don't want to get a surprise.
Exactly.
Hi, this is Andrew Brainerd, owner of TransMedCare Long Distance Medical Transportation. We are proud to help make this podcast possible. When a loved one under medical care needs to relocate, TransMedCare is here to help. We offer the very best in nationwide medical transport with fully appointed vehicles and a team of caring medical professionals. At TransMedCare, nothing is more important than bringing your loved one home safely. Visit our website at trans-medcare.com.
So let's talk a little bit about the financial side, because you're talking about the safety of the credit card information, having that stored on your phone. But sometimes I know that what has happened to me when I've traveled internationally is my card doesn't work. My debit card. Let me explain. Yes. It will not work outside the country.
Well, and sometimes your credit card, because you need to let them know before you travel that you are traveling and what areas you're going to. Otherwise, you may have unexpected holds because their security systems are flagging that card for potential fraudulent use. And there you are legitimately trying to use it, but penniless in a foreign country. That's never a good situation either. So just contact them before you leave. And another great thing to do is look into foreign transaction fees. Some banks and credit cards charge them and others don't. So if you are looking at traveling internationally, it's always a good idea to try to find a card or a bank that will waive those transaction fees. That makes it a lot easier when you're traveling to pull money out of an ATM and not get extra fees. And that way you're not having to take as much money with you, like on the initial plane or boat trip.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. So I want to talk a little bit about we've done our planning. So we've done our cell phone, we've got our files already, we've already talked to our credit card company, we're all buttoned up, we're organized, and now it's time to open that suitcase. And I will say, I have traveled with you and you've actually given me some amazing tips on just as much for me, as far as like mirrors and things like that. Because sometimes you get into hotel rooms and if you're like me and you're practically blind, putting your makeup and different things like that in a mirror that doesn't have a magnifier can be a real challenge. And you walk out the door and God bless only knows what you might look like. So you've given me some great tips on that. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thankfully, in our modern age, we are blessed to have access to a lot of great tips online. So for one thing, when you know where you're going to go, get online and find some social media groups for that destination or for travelers like you, like solo travelers, senior travelers, female travelers, adventure travelers. There are social groups for all of these different specifications, and you can find some fantastic tips on there for things like you said, links to magnifying mirrors with built-in lights that can help those of us with aging eyes still put on our makeup. Little travel container hacks to decant your liquids so that you can get all of the things you need into that little quart-sized baggie for flights, things like that. So definitely take advantage of what they call the hive mind out there in social media land. Mm-hmm. But the best tip I can tell you when you open that suitcase is pack a small suitcase, pack light. I know I have been a classic overpacker most of my life because what might I need? I should take everything I own just in case. But that is really not a good practice at all because, for one, a lot of travel, you're going to pay extra baggage fees, but that's really not even the big issue. It's about physical strain. It's about being able to navigate airports and train stations easily and quickly. And it also gives you less things to worry about being lost or stolen along the way. So pack light. You really only use a fraction of what you pack most times. So again, take advantage of those travel planning groups and advice of a good travel advisor who's maybe already been to a location you're going to learn a more realistic packing list and make your own life easier.
So I'm trying so hard not to just laugh because I am the queen of overpacking. I don't want to decide what I want to wear while I'm on a trip or what have you. I want to have like I have in my closet where I can wear what I feel for the day. I'm in the mood for this outfit, but not for that outfit. And I don't want to be pigeonholed into one outfit. So I am the classic overpacker, and I have to share this crazy story. So we were traveling and we were actually in Canada, and our flight was late. So we missed the train that was supposed to take us to the next city because I can't remember where we landed, but we were going to Quebec City. So there's no airport near there. So we had reservations and everything for a train. Well, we missed the train because the flight was late. And so we had to scramble and get a bus. So we took something similar to like a public megabus kind of thing. But the megabus was not very close to where our hotel was. So it was close enough that you could walk, but I had the ginormous suitcase because I had to have all the things. I had to have boots. I had to have this. I had to have that. I had to have cute stuff, hats, scarves, I have to have everything. And I can remember we had to go up a hill with my suitcase. And by the time we were at the hotel, I was dying. It was just like I'm telling you, my calves were killing me. The next day, you could totally feel everywhere where I pushed my gigantic suitcase up a hill to get to the hotel. So that was a little bit of a lesson learned. I don't use that suitcase really anymore because it is just way too big. But that's just a fun story of why not to. But yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you're talking a little bit about we talked a little bit about safety and things like that. Do you have some tips on where to maybe store money and things like that? I mean, do you have ideas that could be a safer place to store some of those valuables? So if like your handbag gets stolen, you're not completely without resources.
Definitely. When you're traveling, even at home, don't carry your wallets and phones in your back pockets or in an unzipped bag. I know we get lax a lot of times, especially as ladies. We'll have our purse and our shopping cart just sitting there wide open, and that's not a good practice at home, and definitely more so traveling. So keep your money and your passport, very important ID, keep that in a hidden money belt, or they have wallets that you can have on a cord from around your neck or that fasten inside your pants, things that are hidden and tucked away. If you have a crossbody, that is a lot better than those big totes that a lot of us ladies love. Because again, just keeping it closer to your person. And when you are in a crowded area, wear that crossbody in the front, which thankfully that's a very trendy thing now to do anyhow. So we're not looking as silly as we might have felt a few years ago. But yes, keep those crossbodies close. And they make a lot of great travel bags now that are not that expensive, that include really neat zipper locks. It's kind of like almost having a clip onto like a little toggle.
Yeah.
So just an extra security so somebody can't just grab the zipper tab and pull it open while you're walking and unaware. It's an extra step just to keep things a little safer. So look for those travel bag features. And then when you are traveling and you've got your carry-on bag, maybe you're at that train station waiting or trying to figure out from the marquee where your next gate for your plane is, keep your carry-on in front of you. Keep it between your feet. Don't just have it off to the side where somebody could discreetly, again, unzip something, slip something out or in. If you have a tote bag for things like your magazines, water bottles, and that's okay when you're traveling, but still keep the shoulder loops secure. If you're sitting down, maybe having a bite to eat, put those straps under the chair leg. Again, somebody can't just run by and snatch and grab. So just little things to be aware of.
Yeah. And another tip that this happened like years ago where ladies were putting their purses either on the floor in the bathroom while we were going to the bathroom or even the hook. And there were groups of people that were coming in and that's all they did. They would literally come in, grab bags from the bathroom and run. Now that we have so much video and camera, being able to track all of this stuff, I think is probably a little bit less than this was back in the day. But I remember that was just a huge thing and it literally happened in one day. So every time I go into a bathroom, I'm very self-conscious of where I'm putting my bag so that someone can't do that. And I know a lot of times we'll stick it on the ground or we'll even stick it on our knees or whatever, however you're doing it, but someone can just go in there, stick. So you just want it to where they can't access it even. Cause I mean, what are you going to do? You're in the bathroom. It's significantly harder to get up and go after them if that's the case.
Definitely. And that's where those crossbodies and belt bags really are a great convenience for the traveler because you can keep it on your body and out of the way while you're using the restroom. And another simple tip that isn't foolproof that might help you is most bathroom door hooks have 2 prongs, and we commonly will stick our backpack strap or even our jacket across that top hook. If you put it on the second hook below, that will make it a little harder for somebody to reach over the door and grab it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Again,
excellent.
not foolproof, but an extra little step an ounce of prevention.
Yeah. It goes a long way, I'm telling you. So the other thing that for safety, health-wise is, I don't know how your weather is where you're located, Michelle, but it is toasty here. So getting out in the heat all day long can be problematic for seniors. So do you have any recommendations on how to curtail, people that are trying to enjoy their vacation and it's hot?
Well, definitely. Well, traveling in any weather, even if it's not hot, stay hydrated. A lot of times people think they only need to drink more water when it is hot, but airplanes, very dehydrating. A lot of travel stations like airports or bus stations, also dehydrating. And just the fact that you're being more physically active than you may be in your normal life, dehydration. And that's a serious risk for our seniors. Stay hydrated. And carry a water bottle with you when you're out on your daily tour activities. Again, that's a great thing to stick in the side of that crossbody, or if you do have a tote bag for casual items, keep a water bottle with you. Another tip that I learned is that you can take an empty water bottle with you through airport security. I know for the longest time I read, oh, I can't take a water bottle, so I wouldn't take anything. You absolutely can take an empty bottle through security with you, and then major airports and a lot of major cities will have water bottle filling stations right there at the water fountains, and so you can keep getting free clean water throughout your trip. So carry those bottles with you.
Yeah.
And of course, there are some places like Mexico where you might not be able to fill your bottle unless they do provide a filtered station. But a simple water bottle is an easy thing to have with you wherever you travel. But definitely stay hydrated. And on the other side of that, make sure you take regular restroom breaks. Sometimes when we travel, as silly as it sounds, we get busy and distracted, and we don't go to the restroom as often as we would during our daily routines at home. And that can absolutely wreak havoc in our health.
Yeah.
So be aware of your body and what's going on. Listen to your body. If you're not used to walking all day or sitting all day, don't expect your body to be okay with all of these changes without preparation. Rest often. Even just a 30-minute horizontal lie down in the middle of the day can change the health of, the happiness of your entire afternoon. So it's definitely better to miss a couple of things on your must-see list and feel good than try to see everything and be miserable, especially at the end of the day when your ankles are swollen and your back hurts.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you travel, make sure you're wearing comfortable clothing. Yes, we want to look cute. Yes, it's fun to be fashionable, but you can still do those things and be comfortable. Wear looser clothing, so that will help us, especially as seniors, lower the risk of strokes and hypertension. And make sure when you are going to be on those longer sit-down trips in your car or on the airplane, wear compression socks to stimulate circulation. And as always, even if you do have to sit a lot, take those breaks to stand and walk around and move a little bit too.
Yeah, these are such amazing tips. I have absolutely enjoyed this podcast. I want to find out, would you be willing to join me on another podcast where we can talk about the fun part after the planning, all the different places that you can go, what they may offer, and mobility issues, walker issues, what can be really accommodating, so it can be something that our listeners can really get excited about as far as a destination.
I would love to come back because planning the trip itself is definitely the fun part. Getting all of the planning done beforehand makes the trip so much less stressful. But yeah, being on the adventure, that's the best part.
That's the best part. And finding out what there is and what's a great destination specifically for seniors, I think is going to be a positive, absolutely fabulous podcast. So we will have you back and we will deep dive into that in another podcast. I did want to mention to our listeners that you do provide the travel advisory services. That's what you do. You're a pro and you have a heart for seniors as well. So I love that about you, Michelle. And I want to make sure that our listeners are able to connect with you if they have more questions on the podcast that we just did, or if they would like some information or advice from you on their traveling expeditions that they're considering as they're listening to this podcast. So I did want to share Michelle's website is traveladvisors.unlimited.com/about/Michelle, Michelle. And don't you worry, we'll have that link in the copy of the podcast. So if you look at that, you'll be able to connect with her directly at that website URL. And did you have any other contact information or anything else like that you would like to share, Michelle?
No, that website is great. Or you can always reach me at my email, which is michelle@traveladvisorsunlimited.com.
there you go. Direct access. You don't even have to go to the website if you don't want to. And Michelle will be happy to answer any of your questions and connect with you on there. But she will be joining us in another podcast, so you can get some additional information then. Until then, thank you so much for listening to our podcast, SeniorLivingGuide.com podcast, where we are available anywhere you enjoy, listen, consume your music or podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and we also can now be found on babyboomer.org. Thank you for listening.